Oh boy, oh boy! What a few days it's been since that commentary.
It feels like months.
It feels like many a moon. It feels like Michael Gray cancelled us.
Yeah.
And then we're back, baby. We sort of showed up a bit on Sunday for a tinkle.
Yeah.
Like we popped in to borrow some sugar. No, we don't know what's
Do you
happened.
go around your neighbour's house for a tinkle?
I do. We don't know what's happened in the days after we posted Rose, but we hope you enjoyed 9
Crikey,
10.
all those comments on YouTube, Chris, I'm blown away.
Can you believe we went past 5 million views?
Well, hey, I tell you, all those people who were messaging on YouTube about me doing a possible slot on radio.
They all said that we should be like the next Big Finish Doctors.
Yeah.
But play the same Doctor and you know, just sort of alternate words. Like, for example, reverse
the
polarity.
negativity of the...
Oh, so you don't know how alternate words work, do you?
As you can tell from our conversation, none of these things occurred.
No. Well, we're just hoping.
But, you know...
We're basically talking to you...
Thanks for listening.
In our future, but from your past, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a lot to talk about. We didn't want to flood the Rose commentary too much with unrelated stuff, but sod it. We have got Who connections, like things that we want to talk about that we've done in the world of Who. And I'm going to start off with Guy.
Hello.
Guy Lambert, television man.
Yes.
You found ways to weave the world of Doctor Who and CBBC together.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, a large majority of CBBC's audience adore Doctor Who.
Well,
which I find
now
from
they
events we've done. Well,
now they do.
Yeah, maybe not so much in 2005, but I think by 2006 it was happening.
Well, should I put that into context for you, Christopher Johnson?
No. Yeah, go on. Of course.
So, I mean, I was a producer at CBBC from 2003 till 10. And which is how we met, of course.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
Oh yes.
So I was there in 2005 when it came back, and I snuck into the Blue Peter studio and witnessed Chris Eccleston make his first appearance on a kid show. Even just Chris Eccleston on a kid show was weird. But Doctor Who. Now, Richard Marston, who was the editor, is a lovely, lovely man, brilliant man. Wrote the JNT book as well, the Verity Lambert one. Yeah. Lovely man. He was editing it at the time, and he had already been. As you'll know from any documentaries on the DVDs...
There is one particular that talks about Blue Peter, isn't there?
And Richard... I think actually Richard made those documentaries. Anyway. Maybe he did. He was a big supporter of Doctor Who, and he kept it alive in a kind of bizarre way where he would have them... You can look it up on YouTube. There are clips of Blue Peter where they had monsters and stuff come on and had, like, Connie Huck, I think, was in Peter Davison's outfit. And it was bizarre because it was like 1997 or something when no kid knew what Doctor Who was. But the point is,
it was sort of like occasionally the 35th anniversary, wasn't it?
Yeah,
sort of,
really like, and he would do Doctor Who skits and stuff. Anyway,
I remember those. I do recall those popping up.
So he was like an internal champion of that show, and I think what people forget is that even, there was a sense, as I remember, at CBBC that this show is possibly going to be big. But you know what it's like when there's a new show on CBBC. You're not sure. You sense and you talk about it like it's...
For those unfamiliar, just to clarify, CBBC, in case you don't know, like say listener from overseas or what have you, CBBC is the children's BBC. Essentially, it is the Cartoon Network of the BBC. It's the Nickelodeon of the BBC, for which we both have worked in different capacities over time and various times and stuff. When our time streams crossed at one point,
briefly,
for a brief point. But yeah, like it's something that
it's aimed at 6 to 12-year-olds basically.
Yeah.
So it's the Doctor Who market. Would watch it. And as I say, in a slightly rambly way, in 2005 there was no sense of you should talk about Doctor Who in terms of CBBC in presentation where I worked, which is the links around the shows. There was the sense that this show was still this old thing that we hope is going to be successful.
Yeah, it was too soon to determine whether or not the viewers of the channel at the time would buy it. Yeah,
and certainly
or
I don't
get
remember. I could, it's a long time ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
so I'm happy to be corrected, but...
We should celebrate that.
I don't remember us, in presentation, doing anything really about Doctor Who. We left it to Blue Peter, who did Chris Eccleston.
In fact, I recall the thing you said with Connie Hook. I believe that was 2003. It was the 40th anniversary. they sort of did like a retrospective of Doctor Who, and they had some monsters.
I think you may well be correct.
Because Chris Eccleston came in very early 2005, didn't he? Like,
Yes.
It was a couple.
It
weeks
was
or
about a
whatever
week before or something.
Yeah.
So, so at the time, it was like I was a big Doctor Who fan. I was a huge Doctor Who fan, and I still felt like an outsider. And Richard did his thing with Blue Peter, getting Chris in, and really that was the bit where it was like, if you're a kid, that would have hooked you, I think. But no one knew if it was going to be a big thing or not. And then when it came back, I was producing Saturday Mornings with Anne and Barney Harwood, and it was odd because I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, really? Is that a thing? Can we do that? So I got the TARDIS.
Shouldn't we wait and see what people say?
Yeah, people were very like, maybe. And there was already a sense that it was a success, but not a success for children. But then, you slowly built up over the weeks, and we had a Dalek bread thing.
Yeah.
And we I got the TARDIS in, I wrote that in, and Barney was travelling the TARDIS, and we had a clamp on it. It was clamped at one point, and that had Bad Wolf written on it.
Oh, nice.
And I'd written Bad Wolf, I think, somewhere on the set at some point.
What's nice about that is, was this after the series was coming? Was it as it was coming to a close?
This would have been probably like midway through. I think
you'd spotted the motif.
I started. I think it was
it.
after Aliens in London with that on the TARDIS. I think
Nice.
I think we all knew at that point. Oh, this is a thing. And Barney Harwood, bless him, I remember saying to him, he was like, do you know what? And I'm sure he won't mind saying this. He was like, I said to him, everyone knew I loved Doctor Who. So they thought I had a bias towards it and wanted to promote it, which I did. And I remember him saying to me, I haven't watched it. I think he was nervous, like he'd loved the show. Because
he's a big fan of it.
Absolutely. And he was nervous. I said to him, mate, you got to watch it. And I remember the day he came in and went, I watched it, and he was like, oh my god, it's amazing. And then of course he went on to do Totally Doctor Who.
Yes, which is why he pops up in Love and Monsters twice.
Yeah, because they did that in Totally Doctor Who.
Yeah, he's in the Autumn flashback in the background, one of the background artists, like sort of flinching from the explosion at Henrik's, I think it is, in that shot.
He's in the market.
Yeah. And then he's in the market sort of later when Elton is looking for Jackie Tyler.
Yeah, he's in the market. He's got a hoodie, a bobble hat thing. What's that word?
He's like running a stall and talking to an elderly woman, which I asked him about actually not too long ago, and I said, like, did you realise you were going to be in two of the scenes? And apparently he was just really on set. For one of them, he was just on set, and I think it was that second one. He could probably confirm this. For one of them, he was just on set at the time, and ended up being in the background. So he and this old lady just started improvising in the back of shot, because it was like, oh, I guess I'm in this scene now. But it's kind of funny, because even if you didn't realise it was him, but had kind of a keen eye, you'd be like, hang on, that extra was in it before. Oh, wow, all these people still live in London. This is lovely. Continuity.
And it was, I remember Barney was incredibly excited about that. Because that was pre-Blue Peter, so he hadn't done Blue Peter, so he was still basically a presenter, really. And that was the beginning of people embracing it. And then I remember when it came back the second year, then it was enormous.
When, Totally Doctor Who existed.
Then it was huge. And sorry.
No, I was gonna say sort of segue into that. Actually, Totally Doctor Who. Now, I wasn't around at that point. That was 2006, so that was 4 years before I joined the team. But I was a viewer of Totally Doctor Who. I was a teenager watching Totally Doctor Who and stuff, quite proudly. And it was really cool to kind of have a magazine show dedicated to the week between episodes and what was coming up, and reflecting on what had happened the previous week, and getting Russell T Davies in, getting David Tennant in, getting Noel Clarke in, Camille Cajori and Andrew Hidden-Smith, and everybody to talk about the episodes.
Well, we haven't talked about Andrew, but
we will talk about Tiny Andrew, but which is he prefers to be called. I've been told by no one.
Yeah, that's what he's called on Spotlight.
Tiny Andrew. Yeah, but like, what was the thing with that? Did you hear about that early on in the thing? Did you hear it was coming up, or was it one of those where one day it was just kind of like, this is the new stuff that we're going to be showing over the next couple of months?
What, Totally Doctor Who?
Yeah.
In all honesty, I can't remember.
Okay.
Because it was a long time ago, Chris. It was 9 years ago.
It was many years ago.
But what was delightful was to go from a position of, in 2005, of feeling like still like an old fan who was banging about this show, which then by the end of it was different. But by the series 2, if you turned around to someone and said, I want to do something about Doctor Who, they'd be like, yes, do it. No discussion, just do that.
Because naturally it was like, of course, absolutely,
so
bloody hell.
I was doing the CBBC channel live and a bit of stuff in the afternoon, and we links around the shows, and we had Anne as Rose and Matt Smith. What am I talking about?
What?
Matt Edmondson as the Doctor, and Devon Anderson was involved. I can't remember what Devon Anderson was doing, but he was involved. And we did this. We had the TARDIS in the garden, which was still the Peter Davison / Colin Baker / Sylvester McCoy TARDIS that existed at Television Centre.
Yeah, which
I
was
saw falling apart.
Which I saw very briefly, I believe.
It was a total state. It was falling apart.
Was that the one? Was that up there up until 2010? Because I'm sure the Matt Smith one then got brought in.
I don't know what.
I don't know if the new series was it.
I think it maybe got taken to like a museum. Or...
yeah, I remember on my audition days there being an older model, and then shortly after I started, the Matt Smith one was put.
But I remember we did the stuff with Barney with the TARDIS. We had to do it on concrete because we couldn't take it down into the Blue Peter Garden because the TARDIS. This shows you how the lack of respect and love for the show at that point. That TARDIS, which had been the TARDIS of Davison, Baker, McCoy, was literally about to fall to pieces.
Oh, God.
And we couldn't take it into the garden because they were worried that if we'd trawled it down the ramp, it would have fallen to pieces.
Basically, it's the model that sat outside and every night for many years Michael Grade would walk past and just pee on it like a dog.
Oh, you're going that way. I was being polite and saying spit on it.
Well, I mean...
He'd boo at it.
He would go, boo on you!
He'd sort of go, I can't make that noise. He'd sort of make that sort of... He'd tut at it.
He'd suck his teeth at it. He'd go...
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
But where were we? What were we talking about?
We were talking about like incorporating the TARDIS and stuff into the links.
Oh yeah, so we did that live afternoon, and we were very excited. We kept running the trailer, going. And I remember Anne Foy slightly taking the mick out of Rose because it was that trailer where it was like, something like, I live with my mum. I'm doing my A-levels, and he's asked me to go travelling with him. What do you think? And
I remember that one, yeah.
And I'm not sure if that was series 1 or 2.
It was series 1. It was the not as cool trailer as the solo Eccleston one. It was still quite nice, but it was the Eccleston one, the whole, do you want to come with me? It was the better one, because it sort of set a tone. Whereas that one was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, this is my life, but now I've got this.
He wants me to go travelling with him. What do you think?
Eh?
And Anne Foy would love that and thought it was hilarious, and she just stood there and went, what do you think? And she kept going, what do you think? Yeah. So we did that. Oh, we did some other nonsense. I don't know. But the point is, at that point, the show felt enormous. And, of course, lovely Andrew Hayden Smith, who's a very good friend.
CBBC presenter
was
of
slightly responsible for him being in it.
You helped him sort of get on the radar that led to...
Yeah, I mean, of course, his talent and his brilliance and everything else got him that job. But what was lovely and exciting was... I remember he said to me, oh, I want to get back into acting, because he'd been in Biker Grove, of course.
Yeah. Or is it more commonly known Biker Grove?
Biker Grove. And I said to him, you should go, why don't you go for Doctor Who? Russell T Davies will know you and love you. I mean, there's a beautiful, blonde, spiky head boy on CBBC. Of course Russell T Davies is going to notice that. And he was like, are you sure? And then about 2 weeks later he went, well, who do I write to? And I said, well, Andy Pryor is the casting director. Mm-hmm. And then, like, literally 2 weeks later, he came up to me and kneeled down by my desk and went, they want me to come in for an audition. I can't do the accent. They want me to do an audition. And then next thing, he got the role. And then he was off. Yeah, and it was exciting.
Jake in Rise of the Cybermen Age of Steel.
And it was I was texting him going, are you filming? He was like, yeah, I'm filming today. I'm with the Cybermen. I was like, wow, that's amazing. A little note and a little fact, which I don't know if everyone knows. Graham Harper not only directed him in Doctor Who, but directed... Because in Biker Grove, his character of Ben was killed.
Yes, I remember that.
And Graham Harper directed the episode that was his funeral.
Jeez.
So...
Wait, bring it down, Lambo.
What a little connection. I don't know how many people know that, or how interesting that is, but that's a little fact.
It's a factoid.
But it was very exciting that Andrew was in it, and he loved it. And
Then got to come back as well for the finale in series 2. Like, made an
Yeah,
appearance in
which
the
I
Army
didn't.
Ghosts and
Did I know?
Doomsday.
I don't know if I knew or not, but
Yeah. Well, put it this way: it's a bloody surprise. I thought that was the point, wasn't it? That Mickey and the Parallel Universe team were coming through. But that is awesome. That
I think
that
I
kind
knew.
of
I don't know.
Now,
But yeah,
Doctor Who will still continue to leak into CBBC. Obviously, Totally Doctor Who was its own beast for 2 series, and Blue Peter would do
which
tie-ins.
actually largely took away from us the need to do Doctor Who stuff,
because you had a show that you could champion that did it.
which I was annoyed about because I wanted to talk about it.
No, but similarly, it was brilliant that was happening. And then, of course, like Blue Peter would do the time competitions. The Absorbal Off stuff was from there.
Yes,
like, the
that was
actor,
series 2.
the young actor who got to play like the kid in Utopia and stuff came
Series
from Blue
3,
Peter.
yeah.
There was recurring elements. But before even our time begins and the sort of stuff we started putting in there, there was, of course, the Sarah Jane Adventures starting.
Yes,
That's pretty significant. The new era of Doctor Who gets its foot into CBBC and has a home there in the form of the not the first spin-off, was it? I think Sarah Jane Torchwood sort of debuted about the same time, roughly.
I don't know, but I know that the Sarah Jane pilot.
Invasion of the Bane,
that was on.
Invasion of the Bane was that
a
New
New
Year's
Eve
Day
or something?
2007, I think.
But I don't think that was on CBBC, was it? I think that was just on
BBC One. Yeah, but then CBBC I think got the repeat, if I recall.
Yes.
Again, this is before my time, so what do I know? But I remember there was that, and then the series arrived later that year. So 2007.
The
was
series
year
definitely
Sarah
started September 2007.
Oh, so
Because,
Torchwood was first. Sarah Jane came shortly after.
yeah.
Yeah.
If only we had a way of googling that.
We could, but I can't be asked
No, I
to turn
can't be
around
arsed.
to my keyboard.
Someone will write it on YouTube,
And then-
someone will comment on that.
Yeah, probably. So, that's pretty big. When you found out that was coming to the channel, were you like, oh my god, we've got a Sarah Jane show?
No, 'cause
K9 and Company's back,
No,
ladies and
because
gentlemen.
I'd been sacked.
Really? So you were not there at this time?
No, I hadn't been sacked, really.
Okay, I was going
What
to
happened
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you weren't sacked. Because how would
That
you
didn't
be
happen
working
till
there?
quite a while later.
How would you be working there when I arrived 2
No,
years
what
later?
happened was I left.
Okay, so you were...
I had the best thing that could ever happen to you in a job. I left, was given I think like a £50 HMV voucher, and literally the next day, because that was like, I got it the day before I left for some reason or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
the next day my boss went, well, actually the guy who's producing the next thing we're doing is leaving, so can you come back in 3 weeks? And I was like, yes, I will, and I'm going on holiday for 3 weeks.
Oh, brilliant.
So
Sounds
I
like-
was away when Sarah Jane started on the channel and anyone who reads about the writer's tale,
Reads
it
about the
is
writer's
true
tale.
that the producer that's referred to at the beginning of the second volume is me, and I did talk to Benjamin Cook about it. However, I was not the producer of the Talking Cactus on the day of the interview with Liz Sladen.
I
That
see.
wasn't me.
Were you present for the Jadoon's appearance?
Well,
with
that was
Ian
my
and
idea.
Hacker? Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, of course, was tying into Sarah Jane Series 3.
Yes, because we adored Sarah Jane. It was brilliant and amazing. And I wanted to do an afternoon with kids in the studio. We'd already had Danny...
Or The Office. That's
The Office.
The law of the continuity. Come on,
So
respect it.
Tommy and Danny had already been in and done stuff. And it was great and brilliant.
That's
we loved
Tommy
them.
Knight and Daniel Anthony, who played Luke and Clyde, respectively.
Yes. So we were... And I was like, let's get a monster in. Just do it. Just get a monster in. And we had 3 kids in who were lovely and brilliant. And they loved it. And they Jadoon... We couldn't afford to have the rhinoceros head because it wasn't in very good condition. And animatronics were really difficult, and we'd have to get Nicholas Briggs in to voice it.
And also your lives, so the unpredictability of having the animatronic there would have been pretty
But Paul
difficult.
Casey came in and did it.
Oh, Paul Casey.
And he had the mask
Who's been
on.
Cybermen, Werewolves, Autons.
Yeah.
He's been them all, hasn't he?
And he was lovely and great. And he came in and did it. But what was brilliant about him is, you know how like at Disney World and stuff like that, they never take their head off in front of kids.
Yes.
He was the same. He would insist. We had a researcher would hold his hand and guide him through the corridor back to the dressing room, and he wouldn't take the helmet off until he was in a closed room.
This was in East Tower, wasn't it? So it was in the studio I was in.
Yeah, which for people who don't know the geography of TV Centre is
Yeah.
opposite Studio 2 and 3, which of course did a lot of Doctor Who.
Is it more connections? But I just love the idea of picturing those corridors, like knowing them as much as I do.
Yeah, tiny corridors.
And seeing this massive Jadoon being guided by the hand to a makeup room around the corner.
But what was great is that we did this quiz. I mean, Danny Anthony, the kids did not know he was involved. And we had them and they did a quiz.
Right.
And the end bit of the quiz was the Jadoon came in, someone in like a ghost, someone in a wig came in, and then Danny Anthony underneath a like sheet came in, and the kids had to guess which one had not been in Sarah Jane.
Right.
And they all said the ghost character. And then Ian went, "No, you're wrong," and he unveiled it. It was Danny Anthony. And all the kids were like, well, they didn't quite react. You know when you want them to cry or something.
Oh,
like,
ah!
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh."
They're like, "Oh, hang on, no, but that...
I want you to react more!" That's what I wanted.
And if those kids are listening now, we hope you still feel guilty.
No, bless them, they were lovely. They'll be about 20 now.
Yeah, but don't scare everybody.
But it was
scaring
great.
Me.
And the great thing about it was that you felt that Doctor Who, you know, having been... When I was that age, Doctor Who was not loved at all. It was hated. And it was great to be able to...
You're in a world now where, like, there is a Doctor Who monster in this room, and these kids are, like, losing it. Like,
and they knew...
amazing.
But not only did they love it, but they knew what it was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, the amount of times I would turn up at the age of 8 dressed as a tetrap to my local swimming
Do you know
lessons.
what? I knew you were going to do that, and I was thinking...
I thought you were waiting for me to reference... I have, like, a short list of ones that I always refer to. Zarbi always tends to make it.
Zarbi's always...
references.
I thought you were going to go for Hemivore. I don't know why.
Well, I always go for a Hemivore. I can always go for a Hemivore.
Oh, I'd
I'd
go for a Hemivore right now.
Let's go for I want to go for a tall glass of Hemivore and a Hemivore sandwich, please. Right, skipping forward a bit.
Yes.
The very successful man-cactus duo is broken up by the cactus going to play a cat in an adult.
An adult television series, yes.
Adult puppet
Although,
show.
as we would like to say, that the Oucho decided he'd done
that was the continuity of the story of Ed and Oucho, was that Oucho had gone to finish, I believe, the production for Ed and Oucho's Excellent Inventions Series 2. Oucho had left to work on that because there was several VTs recorded in an office, like kind of in the photocopier and bossing people around and stuff.
That was slightly before that point. But anyway, the point is they came back for Christmas. They came back for Christmas.
Well, yes, they came back.
They did their thing, and then Ed and Oucho
parted ways.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. But if you're interested in CBBC continuity,
it sets up the next bit because then the successful man cactus duo was ruined by the man sticking around and another man being brought in.
What
who was
was
not
that
the
person who said that you were Oucho's? Was it someone had written a website where they were like, now Oucho, of course, being the puppet cactus, and someone had written, Ed and Oucho presented until 2010 when Oucho was replaced by Chris Johnson.
Which wasn't true. Like there was a plan in motion.
It wasn't, but it was just hilarious.
To change it up, but it was great.
You replaced the puppet.
It's true. Well, some would say I didn't. Some would say I am. But like it was good for me because I got to work with Ed Petrie and I got to learn. I got to learn as I worked. He's fascinating, brilliant, just strangely, quietly, mysteriously mischievous man.
Yes.
Who could be sat there looking sensible, and you'll turn around, and the next minute you turn back, and he's graffitied your desk with like Sharpie all over things, but still have the look of a man who's been sat there reading something intently and not once flinching. I recently returned to CBBC at Media City to do some guest spots, and I found a batch of my autograph cards had been graffitied by Ed in the one day he'd been there to talk about one of his shows, and he'd just written "goat" all over them.
Ed Petrie,
so that happens.
Aside from being a bully by the sounds of it, no, he's not really. He's one of the most lovely, brilliant, intelligent, clever, witty, funny people,
and also a Doctor Who fan.
Yes,
doesn't sing it to the hills as much as the rest of us did, but he is a big fan of it, especially the original run. Like he did love it to bits.
We did a terrible afternoon once. By the way, if you want to read about CBBC, I wrote a long thing for a book called You and Who.
Yes,
there's loads of stuff in there. But one of the things that we celebrated something like the 45th anniversary, and we did an afternoon that was my idea, and it was rubbish, and it was not very good.
Fair dues.
So don't ever talk to him about it.
Okay, fair enough. I'll get him on next week. Right, so Ed would be fun, but
he's always busy though, isn't he, Ed?
He's a busy, tall man.
He's an enormous man.
But Ed and I, of course, were part of the legendary event, which you were wholly responsible for.
No, I was not wholly
mostly responsible for.
I just did it. It was not my idea.
Well,
I just
part
thought
of it certainly was. It was the build-up to the 11th hour and the new sort of look and feel for Who, and Matt Smith's debut story, and it was Karen Gillan's first story as Amy Pond. And we didn't know it at the time, but it was also like the beginning of Rory with Arthur Darvill, because we didn't really know until the middle of the series that he's a recurring character.
We didn't even think he was anything to think about, really.
No thinkings.
Just thought he was a man.
A man with an eye. A good eye. So but also a bloody hero. Like, kids TV presenter who has then gone on to sort of do big acting jobs.
Oh god, yeah, I'd forgotten
he was Tom on CITV.
He was
just to freak people out there.
Oh,
and his mum's Y-Bird from Playdays.
Yes, which was a puppet that often I used to see around CBBC.
In fact, I think one of them was kept in the little museum archive thing downstairs, wasn't it, for the tour?
Yeah.
Near a Davros head and a beaten Gordon the Gopher.
It's like they'd had a fight.
Like just lobbing his heads at each other.
Davros had made them fight.
But so it was the build-up, and we were showing clips during the week. It was like a half term, so we were doing a live morning, and we were showing clips during the week. We'd gotten clips of the 11th hour that we could show, but the beautiful thing was that Friday morning before the Saturday TX, the Saturday broadcast of the 11th hour, Karen Gillan appeared on GMTV on a pre-recorded interview, and then did her first bit of live television with us, and it was just bloody mental. Like, it was nuts. We built up during the week that I was really excited to meet her, and I was a bit sort of like psychotic, deranged excited.
Yes.
And then on the morning, my demeanour was calm and professional, but the gag was that Ed had taken a precaution and put me in a cage. So we had the usual set, decorated in its half-term splendour. The lovely Karen Gillan looking radiant and adorable and a little bit nervous, like sat on the guest couch. And Ed sat in the chair, getting her name wrong. Calling her Karen Millen. Oh no.
Yes.
And me in a cage.
But the thing is, we were talking about this earlier today, actually, and what was interesting.
What, you and Karen?
Yeah, no, she had no idea who I am now. But it was one of those weird things because she had never been in it. Well, she'd not been a star of it.
Yes, yeah. Although we did mention she was in Fires Pompeii.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
She would be geeky enough to get that in.
It wasn't like it was Catherine Tate who had a pre-established thing, or Billie Piper who had a pre-established thing. She was really someone that was an unknown, and so was Matt Smith largely. And so it was just like we'd not seen her, so we weren't like we were excited.
Yeah,
but we weren't like, oh my god, it's her who I watched last week. It was kind of like she was just a really lovely, brilliant, lovely person. She hung out with us in the gallery and had tea, and Ed Russell that was there, who was lovely as well. And
Luke Morrison as well, I believe.
Luke Morrison was there, right?
He was lovely, really nice guy. And both he and Karen returned a little while later because they did that morning.
Well, Karen, I wasn't there, but they came back for you.
They did come back. They came back just for me.
Well, I think she did because she really liked you. And what was good about Karen was she was such a laugh, and you can imagine her just hanging out. I seem to remember saying to her, "Can you just stick around forever?" Because
could you just come in every Friday and just make Friday feel a little bit more like, don't worry guys, the weekend's nearly here. Hey, guess what? I brought some Harrogate.
God, she was great.
She was lovely, and she still, I occasionally banter with her on Twitter and stuff, and she's like adorable, and she deserves every success she gets. She's fantastic. But of course, that was, I think, in terms of when we were working together, that was our biggest sort of Doctor Who based thing. I do remember that was
pretty much the last thing.
This is a weird exclusive. We nearly cast Nicola Bryant as a character once.
But she doesn't probably even know.
She probably doesn't know, yeah. So nobody tell her. Or do tell her, and we'll randomly shoot a thing with her.
We won't go into the details of how we came to that decision, but...
Yeah, no, we were we had a character that we'd come up with for a half-term thing, and we were joking about, we'll have the character's wife appear in one of them, and... the various circumstances had led to us learning that she might want to do something for kids' TV for a laugh. We were like, oh god, imagine getting Perry in, that'd be amazing. So it was always something that because I think we were the biggest fans during that
Yeah.
time in the office and in the studio and stuff. Like, we were the ones who were sort of like, if we could do something with that, that'd be fun. And that was what was nice about Karen Gillan coming back to record some sketches with me and Ed, because it meant that there was material and that, and especially while the series is on, you kind of want to have that cross promotion thing. Now since then, like, if you'll indulge me, since then I've done a couple of Doctor Who related things with CBBC. On the day of the 50th, we were live on that Saturday, which we weren't normally live on the Saturday, but we were live showing like Dreamland and Infinite Quest and a couple of Sarah Jane stories and stuff.
But can I interrupt you?
No, yeah, of course you can.
Because I've rambled about me and what I did, and no one cares about that. It's not very interesting.
Yes,
but
they do.
you, Christopher,
Eileen Johnson.
I was literally about to call you Christopher Eccleston. Christopher Johnson.
Rose.
Because you have a lot in common with Christopher Eccleston, don't you?
I've met the man many times.
And yeah.
He's lovely. In fact, we watched him perform in Westminster Abbey in a
We
theatre
did.
piece called In the Beginning.
Yeah, and we stared at him,
And
didn't
we were guided around by Tamsin Greig, and it was
We
just like, oh my
stared
god,
at
everyone
Chris
here has been in
Eccleston.
Doctor Who.
That was good, wasn't it?
That was brilliant. That was lovely.
And we once were by a lift next to Matt Smith.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Anyway,
I've held doors open for Matt Smith on 3 occasions.
I think it would be lovely.
Which is a
What
weird
I would
claim
love
to
to do. I
fame.
tell you what I would love to do, and I haven't talked to you about this. I would love people to put questions, because one of the things about being a CBBC presenter in terms of being on air in the presentation slot is you're not really ever in a position where you talk about yourself. You're always talking about the shows or another character or whatever. I don't think you've ever been interviewed about you. What I would like to do, if you're up for it, is I'd like people, if they've got a question for you, particularly about Doctor Who and you on CBBC, is for that to be posted on this YouTube thing.
So we'll have an after party where I'm replying to questions. I mean, I'm up for that if you guys are.
And I'd be happy to host that, and I'll just give that job to myself.
Okay, fair enough. Well, there you go, guys. Like, drop any questions if you ever want to. I'll happily talk.
Because
about
I tell you why. Because
Yeah.
the thing about Chris Johnson is, like, when I was at CBBC, I was pushing for Doctor Who stuff all the time, and I was obsessed with it. And we did lots of Doctor Who things that I can't even remember. But when Chris came on board in 2010, Chris became the Doctor Who fan, not just in Prez, but CBBC. And you then were on Newsround. You were on Blue Peter. You judged a competition on Blue Peter.
Yeah, for the deep breath stuff, the gadgets in deep breath. Yeah.
You kind of were the Doctor Who correspondent.
We
for
joked about that
CBBC,
on
which has
Newsround,
never
actually,
happened
yeah.
before.
Which was nice. The 50th anniversary stuff we did but like I asked about, like, can we get the TARDIS and the Dalek in the studio and, like, sort of really make a thing of it. And and I think you're gonna find a way to show me some of these links, because I haven't seen them in a while. Like, we had, like, sketches and stuff of me exiting the TARDIS at the start of the link and saying that K9's done his business on the console and stuff, and just, I like doing things like that. I like sort of going, look at it, we're part of the world, look at what we're doing, but you can still have that humorous angle of taking the mickey a bit and having a laugh with it, and not obviously being sensible, because I don't think the audience want to see you be sensible with it. They want to see it go a bit wrong or a bit silly, and yeah.
But there's a line in it as well where, do you remember it was supposed to be One Direction Day? And you refer to that once. Some kid emails in and says, "Oh, we're not doing Doctor Who."
I've forgotten about this.
And you get really angry about it in a mock joke.
Oh yeah, because One Direction for some bloody reason decided.
Well, they were doing a live thing, weren't they?
No, they did. They chose to release their new album on that day and do a hashtag and stuff in the days leading up to it. It was like, no offense, One Direction, or the band formerly known as One Direction.
Yes, because as of
today, when we're recording this, they're
although this is obviously several weeks after we recorded the Rose commentary.
Well, is it?
Well, I don't know. It exists in its own time
and space.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, no offense, guys, but there's kind of a big thing going on with, like, a worldwide cinema screening event and all this. But then I love the fact that, hilariously, like, the Beeb then tried to, and you know, I've still not watched the after party from the 50th anniversary. I've still not seen it. But they tried to do a crossover by having One Direction link up in it, which is kind of genius in a way, because it's like saying, oh, you guys got your event today as well, how about us? But at the same time, I almost want them to just go live to One Direction and say, all right, lads, so your album's coming out today, yeah, we don't care, it's about us, and just turn the thing off.
But I remember the after party was so slated. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious and brilliant.
It's pretty damn
It was
unique.
ridiculous, and
It's a unique thing.
I think getting One Direction on was totally the right decision. I think that's the kind of decision that people who don't like children don't like. Because if you're 14 or 13 or whatever, and you're a fan of Doctor Who, you are allowed to be a fan of One Direction.
Yeah.
And the idea of them coming together is the most exciting thing in the world.
Oh god, if you were a kid who loved them both, that'd be
And all these
mind-blowing.
miserable old adults saying, "Oh, One Direction," and tweeting about how angry they were that One Direction were. This isn't your show. This is everyone's show. So shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah.
We shout to the past.
We won't forgive you for something that happened nearly 2 years ago.
Damn you all in your eyes and your necks.
But I think there's a lot to ask you about, Chris, about CBBC and Doctor Who. So, and you have a lot of young fans, and as I say, if people are up for it, put loads of questions and we'll do a thing.
Get the ball rolling. If there's one thing you want to ask about now, just like off the top of your head as an example.
Okay, well I'll ask you this
while you're here and I can smell you as you speak.
I always felt that even when breathe it in, breathe in the musk.
My question.
Like when I was producing Doctor Who, what are we talking about?
When you produced Doctor Who in the mid-90s.
Yes.
When you cast that man as the 8th
When
Doctor
I
and you drove a car around saying he was the
Jonathan Norman Taylor.
Is it relevant as Peter Cushing?
I always felt that when even when Doctor Who was popular and popular with kids, I always had a feeling that I was still kind of conscious that if I mentioned "can I do a Doctor Who thing," there was a sense of really. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But did you feel? Can you? I don't know if you're allowed to say, but did you feel conscious sometimes that you were the voice of Doctor Who, and therefore that could be a good and a bad thing?
I don't think I ever thought about it too much, but I knew that I was representing the show to a degree
Because you were the face of Doctor Who to CBBC.
Yeah, I mean, I was never employed by Doctor Who to be the Doctor Who man on CBBC.
No,
I was never asked.
They
I
owe
was
you
never
a
contacted.
huge amount of money.
Well, yeah, I was never contacted by them at any point to be like, "We noticed that you like the show. Can you please keep consistently sort of championing it and stuff like." I just did it because I was a fan, and the beauty of it being a BBC brand, of course, is that there's no sort of like, "Oh, if you mention it," because it's
It's
part
not
of
like
family.
you can mention Captain America and everyone's like, "Oh God, you can't mention that."
Yeah, like you just can't sort of talk about the stuff without it. Whereas BBC, you sort of given the luxury, and to an extent, like, for example, myself and Hacker, for he is real, would regularly make references to stuff in our live links, regardless of Doctor Who was the topic, to Doctor Who things because we knew it was making each other laugh. So Hacker and his handler are not necessarily the biggest fans of Doctor Who.
No, but they appreciate
the amount of John
whimsical
Pertwee
way.
Wurzel Gummidge jokes that we'd make were frequent. We would constantly reference, like, there'd be a constant theme of me having like a Colin Baker doll or Colin Baker underpants or something, and we would put in, again, more than the others, put Peter Cushing references. Do you know what I mean?
There's
because it just made us
There's
laugh.
a line. I have access to the BBC archive and to a point anyway, and there's lots of stuff online.
Well, it's part of the research, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like, when you're researching stuff like for shows and casting and everything, you can have these tools at your disposal.
And one of the benefits is you get to see old links that are recorded and are stored on this thing. And there's a link. There's just a random link where Hacker says, "What in the name of Peter Cushing are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like, just randomly to obviously make you laugh.
Yeah. And you can see the cracks like happen, and then move on and stuff, and I'd slip in like, "Oh my giddy aunt" as my way of, way of exclaiming or doing a curse word without swearing. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. Sausages I used to try and slip in as well occasionally. Yeah, well, hello.
But
I even dressed up as my own kind of iteration of the Doctor for the 50th anniversary live morning. I kind of wore a Doctor-ish outfit instead of dressing like a presenter.
You've reminded me that we did actually come up with a character that was going to dress as Peter Cushing.
Which one was
Which
that?
we never did, and he was going to go, "Hello,
I'm Doctor Who."
But I think he was called something like Professor What.
Professor What?
I don't know, something funnier.
No,
than that.
yeah, we were joking around about doing it that week for the Doctor Who stuff. Actually, I think in the end we were just like, "No, we'll let it speak for itself when we get Karen in and that."
But we did think about doing a character that dressed and
I
was
remember that.
basically Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing's Doctor Who. That'd have been fun.
Yeah.
but it's nice to represent it. And whenever I'm still doing work with them, I'll always still slip in a reference when I can and stuff. Like, never in a way that is sort of excludes people who aren't fans of it. It'll never be something that will throw people off. It'll always be something that...
Apart from when you wrote on a name tag Dodo Chaplet.
Yeah, that was the week. That was the week Karen came in. Like, every day, my name badge on the desk read a different thing, and it was Dodo Chaplet one day, and like I think we wrote K9 another day and stuff. And then, like, famously on Karen Gillan's morning, we wrote down a nickname Matt Smith has for her because we'd read it in the magazine that morning on the way to work, which is plural chin. Which in a live link she noticed. It was like, how do you know about that?
But do you know what's great? You know what's great about all of this is
the world. Or
what I often find so bizarre is that things like Dodo Chaplet, right, which was what, 65, 66?
War Machine 65, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
I got the DVD out.
1965, Jackie Lane rocks up, does Dodo Chaplet for a couple of months, leaves. In 2010, we have a reference to that character. That, to me, sums up the magic and amazement of Doctor Who. Amazement, I'm not sure is the right word, but you know what I mean.
The majesty.
What other show are you going to have, possibly Coronation Street, but not really. What other shows?
Which I've been in. We've had
but
a recurring sketch that references that as well.
But you know what I mean. You wouldn't Dodo Chaplet, an obscure, relatively obscure 60s character referenced on children's television in 2010. What a bizarre thing
in a way that's just part of the set dressing and is absorbed in the look.
Yeah.
But it's something that there are maybe one or two kids, but certainly a lot of adults who spotted that morning and went.
And what struck me is that when I was watching that. The links you've done for the 50th, you had Billy Hartnell, good old William Hartnell, an action figure of William Hartnell on your desk.
Which is such like an oxymoron if you think about it.
Yes, an in-action figure of William Hartnell. But an action figure of William Hartnell, I mean, imagine if he was alive and saw that. That's amazing.
That's nuts. And especially because it's a character he cared so much about at the time and everything, and he realised it was something special.
That's as moving to me as the appearance of Matt Smith in Adventure in Space and Time.
Yeah.
That idea of, I'm going to cry.
I'm
quite moved.
Do it on the pop field. So we can all hear them land.
The tears landing.
Like April showers.
I'm quite moved by this thought because it's a beautiful thing to think, 50 years later that you've got an action figure of that man on your desk on children's television and he means something to children still. That's beautiful.
It's not, and it's a gorgeous thing.
It's a shame you licked it, but never mind.
Yeah.
No, he didn't really.
And there's something that we didn't touch on too much in the Rose commentary, which we said we mentioned. Was Scream of the Shalka.
Yes.
Which was Doctor Who's 40th anniversary continuation. It was the canon Doctor from that point on. The Flash animation adventure starring Richard E. Grant and Derek Jacobi. And I can't remember the actress's name. The actress who ended up playing Liz 10 in...
it's Sophie... I'm not good with surnames.
Sophie Liz 10. Sophie Awesome Person. Let's call it that.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry I can't
bloody
think of how to pronounce the surname. But
that's alright. We'll make it fair. Richard O. Green played the Doctor.
Derek Jacobi.
That's still, to be fair, that's close to what it's
pretty accurate.
That was the official continuation written by Paul Cornell and put together by the Doctor Web team and everything.
Yep. And when you say official confirmation, it really was.
Yeah.
Because it was announced that Richard E. Grant was going to be the official Ninth Doctor.
Having previously been the unofficial 12th Doctor
in
Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah.
Which I must admit, I do still really enjoy to this day.
Yeah, totally.
It makes me smile. Especially the sort of rapid regeneration thing. It does make me laugh.
It's actually one of the best comic relief sketches ever, I would say.
Is.
Because, look at the casting.
And if you want to donate money to Comic Relief, they have it on iTunes somewhere and you can spend like £2 and you can own it.
Really?
Like the complete thing as one video,
That's good.
And all the money goes to Comic Relief and stuff, so it's pretty cool. They've got like a selection of the best of Comic Relief and that's one of them. The entire 25 minute.
Well, do you know what? If you're a critic of Stephen Moffat, that alone should silence all criticism.
Your silence will fall.
Silence has fallen.
Yes.
And the question has been asked: what has Stephen Moffat done for Comic Relief? There's the answer. Job done.
So yeah, but like again, like that stuff existed, but then Scream of the Shalka was like the 40th anniversary is coming up. We want to do something. Screw it. Let's continue the story in an official capacity with a new Doctor and a new setting and a new vibe. And then, like a month before they put it on the web, the news came out that Doctor Who was coming back to TV.
It was so close because, as I said in the Rose commentary, if anybody listened to that, I worked at the BBC at that point, and I remember Scream of the Shalka coming out, and that news had hit like a couple of weeks before. Yes, because it came out in November, didn't it? And then the news of Russell Davies doing Doctor Who came at the end of September, and it rained on their parade. There's an excellent way
because you can now buy Scream of the Shark on DVD. I've got the DVD version. It's well worth it because it's easier to watch it that way than it is to watch it on the website. I think you can still watch it on the website as The Flash, and obviously that stuff streams much better nowadays. But I think it's worth, if you want to give it a go, spending like £6 or whatever online to buy the DVD, because there is a fascinating documentary on it about the conception of the idea, the creation, and then that really unfortunate deflation as they realised, oh god, this is now just another pocket of what could have been.
But you know
like the Dark Dimension or the Recycling movie.
Well, you mentioning Dark Dimension is interesting because we now know that Philip Segal and various other people who connected to the Doctor Who TV movie killed the Dark Dimension because they didn't
not necessarily willingly.
No, they did. Philip Segal.
Well, I thought they'd be pulled because they were like, it's gonna clash with this.
Now, I don't want to libel the man.
No,
I don't think you can libel someone for killing a television show. No, but I'm almost 100% sure he says.
At least he doesn't piss on the TARDIS like Michael Gray does. Carry on. Come after me, Michael.
I'm sure in the documentary he says he killed it because he said, we heard about this project where they were bringing back all the old Doctors, and we were like, no, that's terrible. I'm almost 100% sure Philip Segal.
Well, to be fair,
I keep wanting to call him Philip Segal.
Philip Segal.
Philip the Seagull.
Philip Segal.
I'm sure he said he killed it, and I think that's really interesting because why didn't Russell T Davies kill Scream of the Shalka? Because he could have done.
I think maybe because
phone him.
All right. Hang on. Where's my phone?
What's his number again? 07
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 0707.
Yeah.
Okay, it's ringing.
Oh, it's exciting, isn't it?
This is different.
I hope he's not angry that you're calling him. He's probably at Tesco's thinking about characters.
Yeah, creating stories.
Staring at cucumbers.
Russell. Yeah, no, this is a fictional number.
Again!
It wasn't anyone. It was someone offering me PPI, which is weird.
So nice. we don't know. That's an interesting question that I've never thought about.
I think it's because it was like all the hard work had been put into it. Yeah, it's like,
and also it wasn't like it was coming out. At the same time. I
think they would have probably held off the announcement they were making more Who till maybe 2004.
They had to do it because of the press.
It was going to leak or what have you, so it was like, right, we're going to make the call. Which unfortunately does happen. We're in that age now, sort of that started in the 2000s, where spoilers happen.
But when we're doing the Rose commentary, we were talking about how Russell came up with such an original way of bringing the show back that 99% of fans, I'm convinced, people will have a go at me for this, but I don't care. 99% of people, if they had written their own Doctor Who episode, would not have written it that way. And what's interesting about Scream of the Shalka, and this is not in any way to criticise it because I think it's very good, but it is a very good example of why that would not have worked as a TV revival.
It was absolutely created for the fans who were looking for
miserable, slightly gothic-y, internalised Doctor, moping, grumpy,
who had been on some form of adventures and whatnot prior to us meeting him. There was a new status quo. We didn't know what happened to the 8th Doctor and when he changed. We didn't know why yet. There's
very kind of angry and stuff.
The robot master and stuff in the TARDIS. There's hints of that they're going to answer that in the next story and stuff. Because I think that was the plan, wasn't it? If it hit off well, they would have done another couple of flashes each year. So there would have been a continuation in
that was how Doctor Who was going to survive. That was... And I remember Russell T Davies saying, we all thought if Doctor Who comes back, it's going to be on BBC 3 at 9 o'clock, and it's going to be some sort of gothic-y, dark,
punk show, like a punk.
Yeah, that like 20 people watch, and we're all very happy to watch this low-budget thing. And yeah, Scream of the Chocolate. I think it's very good. Scream of the Chocolate. I think it's massively underrated, and it is. What's fascinating about it is yet another Ninth Doctor. So how many other? There's 3 of them.
There's 3, yeah. The Rowan Atkinson Doctor goes a
Well, no, I was thinking of John Hurt as well, obviously.
Well,
so there's 4 of them.
For the sake of numbering, he's
but technically, Richie Grant, John Hurt, Chris Eccleston, and
Chris Eccleston doesn't count then if John Hurt does.
No, but what I mean is being labelled, being introduced to the public as the Ninth Doctor.
Curse you, Stephen!
There are like 20,000 of them. And
everyone's the Ninth Doctor. I'm the Ninth Doctor.
If you count Peter Cushing,
you're the Ninth Doctor.
Then actually Paul McGann's the Ninth Doctor.
Oh,
so,
God.
you know.
Oh, God, sweet baby Jesus.
So, please no one reference the brain of Morbius. We know. We've been Doctor Who fans for years. We know what people are going to write on the YouTube comments. Oh, they didn't mention the brain of Morbius. Oh, you're not a proper fan. Oh. I've been watching it since 1980.
That's pretty involved.
Yeah.
So, yes. Now,
is there anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about the TWOish Doctors.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to talk too much about the TWOish Doctors because, again, like I said in the Rose commentary, if you've not heard it, go and listen to it. What the hell are you doing listening to this tat? Go and listen to the TWOish Doctors. And if you've already listened to it, thank you.
Well, thank you for thanking me.
Thank you for giving it a go because, good God, I love that. I adore it. I think what you and Chris and Tom have created, and the guys who contributed the music and stuff like what you've all done is something very special. That, like you said in the Rose commentary, it warms the cockles.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I said in the Rose commentary, and Chris had already done his Tom Baker. What am I talking about? His Patrick Troughton.
Just giving him a fictional CV.
Chris's Tom Baker impression
is the finest one since his Tom Baker.
His Patrick Troughton impression is astonishing. And when we recorded it, it was very odd because he didn't really drop character. So it was kind of like directing Patrick Troughton. It was very strange. And but he'd already established that for a while, doing some audios, which I think... Are you in one of those audios? Or you're not, are you? Tom is in one of them. Anyway...
I'm in the Time Tunnel Media audios. I play...
Are you in the ones with
I play the Ice Warrior. I play the Ice Lord, yeah.
Which is, I think, one of the first ones. Anyway,
it's the first one. Yeah. So I got to hiss my way through some pretty excellent dialogue and play a bad guy. Which was a lot of fun.
Anyway, never mind about that. But
a glimpse of a tangent, but never more.
He did a great thing called The Glimpse on YouTube, which is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
And it's amazing on several levels. One, because his Patrick Troughton is astonishing. 2, because he is accompanied by an amazing
Siobhan,
person,
isn't it? Who's William Hartnell is very,
very
on
good.
point. It's presented like a reconstructed.
Yeah,
episode
well, that's
the
thing that's so good about it, and it's like someone found the footage almost and took the telesnaps of it.
It's like if you had the Lost in Time box set, it would just be something on there. Like you could click it and watch it. And
it's basically the first and the second Doctor meet.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much what you need to know.
There's a brief flicker of things going a bit wrong, and the first Doctor
and
the
Jamie's
second
in
Doctor's TARDIS, and Jamie's in it.
And it's really lovely, and it's about 6 minutes long, and it's great. And he released it, and it's become at this point when I'm talking, it's got like nearly 6,000 hits, I think, which is pretty good. And Tom I'd known for a long time, and Tom did Baking with the Doctor, which has got like something 20,000 hits.
Yeah, that's a film.
And Cult Box have championed that, and various other people, and it's great. And he's done other things as well, which you've probably seen by now. And
he's done a lot of parodies over the years, a lot of spoofs.
Yeah, and he's a lovely chap, and I know him very well.
He's phenomenal.
And basically, they were talking about doing something, and I was like, "How can you resist the thought of doing 11 and 2? It's like Time Crash with 5 and 10. It's that thing of 10 loved Davison, Matt Smith loved Troughton. I can't get Matt Smith or Patrick Troughton to do a thing, but I'll get people who sound a hell of a lot like them." And we just wrote this thing, and I want people to love it. I don't want people to criticise it in the sense of going, "Oh, it's not as good as Big Finish," because that's not the point. We're not Big Finish. We didn't spend any money on it because we don't have any, and we didn't hire a studio. We did it all over. We did basic.
I mean, you shelled out a £5 for some Freddos and milk.
I think I had
something to drink and eat.
I think I had a sandwich, possibly after the recording. But the point about it is, we did it because it was 10th anniversary. We thought it'll be fun and it'll be great. And if you like it, hooray! If you don't like it, fine. You know, whatevs.
You don't have to. It's not been made.
I'm not charging any money
to win over the fandom. It's been made with love, and it's. But again, I was bowled over by it simply because in terms of, you tend to accept things into your own personal canon if you really enjoy them, and you can sit them in, and it is placed perfectly in terms of the timeline of the second Doctor and the 11th in a place that is just like, that is so well chosen. And you guys have nailed how to tell that story between them. And again, tonally, and the things they say, and the things that the story implies, not just within the continuity, but within the real world.
Yeah, I mean, Tom came up with the rough story and did a draft, and then I did a draft, and we bounced back and forth doing drafts. What's important to know about this is that it's taken us about a week and a half.
Which is damn impressive.
We've worked really hard on it, and Chris has worked incredibly hard on the edit. Chris Thompson, not Chris Johnson, who's had nothing to do with it.
I listened to it once and went,
and Chris Thompson has even had his appendix removed during the production of this thing. So please,
the dedication is nuts.
So, we did it because we wanted people to be happy and lovely, and to honour Patrick Troughton.
Yes.
Very importantly. Not to, in any way, start bombarding Big Finish with, can Chris Johnson be... that's not what it's about, and it's not what...
Chris Johnson be...
Chris Thompson be...
I'll happily be in some. I did a couple, I enjoyed them. I'll do them
anyway, I sound like I'm being really defensive. But I just want people to enjoy it and love it and spread it around and tell everyone about it and just have a lovely moment of Doctor Who, because at this point, as we record this, we don't think there is going to be anything for the anniversary, do we?
There may be some. I think something might occur. Like, we're recording this the day, well, technically we're recording it on the anniversary now. It's gone midnight. Yeah. But if there has been something, yay!
Hooray!
If there hasn't, that's fine, because there are people like this project. Like, obviously not to toot my own trumpet, but like this project, like the Two-ish Doctors, again, like what you guys are doing with the run. There's this excellent, and I'll link it in the description below on the YouTube video here. This excellent fan-made trailer celebrating 10 years of it, which is of the new sort of run, which is superb and just really encapsulates everything you love about it now and what it means to people.
And what it also does is, we've talked about, we're not big fans of separating out New Who from Classic Who, but there is that thing of 21st century Doctor Who having its own 10th anniversary. And
just a moment, it is the original run and the current run.
Okay,
because then it's the same thing. It's just it had a big run there, then had a break.
So and this weird little thing in the middle of the TV movie.
Yeah.
But it's great to see those 10 years and how bloody lucky we are. I know that there are people who criticise Davis and Moffat and all kinds of problems. We all have things we love. We all have things we hate. But at the end of the day, man, you're lucky to have a show like that.
Oh, hell yeah. Now, Two-ish Doctors is a multi-Doctor story. Everybody loves a good multi-Doctor story, which is hilarious, because when they first kind of started to
that sounds like the Neighbours
into the current run, everybody loves a multi-Doctor story. When they started to eep into the current run, like, you would have, obviously, kids who really get into the show would turn to their parents and be like, oh my god, it's like, have the Doctors ever met? And the parents would be like, well, yes, they have. And we're talking about it. But they don't happen that often. In fact, in terms of the official ones, there's 5.
Are we going to reveal all the 5 what they are, or are we going to talk them about?
I'll talk about one by one. There is 5, but there are sort of 6 of them in total, really. So let's just have a quick minute on each one. Tell me what you think, and be critical if you like. Like I think we can openly discuss one of these quite negatively if we wish. First off, the 3 Doctors, 10th anniversary, which is why the Two-ish Doctors is so brilliant. Like, it's popping up at the 10th anniversary. You guys doing it for the 10th anniversary of the current run. Yeah. On the 10th anniversary of the original run, the show celebrated with the first ever multi-Doctor story.
And what's more, Christopher Johnson.
Yes, As I Live and Breathe.
It had Patrick Troughton in it.
Yes.
We're continuing the tradition of Patrick Troughton pretty much turning up for everything.
He's the most recurring Doctor in multi-Doctor.
Someone pointed out today on Twitter, someone very clever that I can't remember the name of.
Mr. Clever.
I'm going to try and find it while I say this sentence. And he was pointing out that if you add up all the multi-Doctor stories with Patrick Troughton, he reckoned there are 14 episodes, which he was saying is effectively like a series of the original series, but with the Doctor season 6B.
Yeah,
Did that make sense?
Yes, like
sorry, I was trying to do something.
There was an extra series of Troughton based on
like
appearances in the multi-Doctor story.
You could run them all as their own series. It's James Corey Smith. Hello, James Corey Smith. I know.
We're talking to you from our past and your future.
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I talked to him on Twitter. He's a lovely man and very clever. And he said, there are 14 episodes. You could basically put that together as series 6B.
There you go. I don't know.
Is that relevant to anything?
It is. Well, put it this way: some of the things they talk about. So the Three Doctors fighting against Omega.
Oh God, the Three Doctors is great and brilliant.
Three
Doctors establishes the fact that a multi-Doctor story is a little bit of a panto romp.
Yeah, it is for fun.
Yes.
Like there can be high stakes,
which of course there are lots of drama in that and lots of things.
But
its
ultimately,
main focus is to have a bit of fun.
It's the joy of seeing the actors who've portrayed the part interact in the role.
Yes.
Which you can't do in any other show. Like, you can't have bloody... Obviously, they're not in the same continuity, if you want to use the word continuity, but, like, you can't have Basil Rathbone talk to Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes.
I wondered whether you were going to go for that or James Bond.
Well, yeah, no, similarly, you can't have a thing with Sean Connery's James Bond talking to Roger Moore's James Bond or George Lazenby's James Bond, because, like, they're playing that same person.
Yeah.
And but, of course, the beauty of this is they're playing that same person who changes. Although so they can do that.
Well, exactly, but what's fascinating is, like, we all take that for granted now, the Three Doctors, because we go, of course that exists. But when you look at it and you think of the creative decisions they must have made, how are these Doctors going to get on? That was the obvious choice was, yeah, of course they'd all get on. But then, of course, if you met yourself, you wouldn't get on. You'd probably be quite irritated by yourself.
Yeah.
So that's very clever, and Hartnell... I always found it odd in those multi-Doctor stories that Hartnell's the old wise man, because he's...
the youngest incarnation.
He's technically the youngest, even though physically as his own incarnation he's the oldest. But you know what I mean? Wisdom should actually be the newest Doctor.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of explained in another multi-Doctor story, which we'll talk about in a little bit, by David Tennant's Doctor, where he says, like, when I started, I was trying to be all, important and grumpy, like you do when you're young. So it makes me wonder if, because the first Doctor is sort of looking at things with a little less crowding in his brain, a little less fluff, Billy Fluff there, than his later incarnations, he's looking at things a little more coolly and not considering more of the factors they are, which is why his decisions and his leadership is kind of helpful. But at the same time, maybe they're just like humouring him a little bit,
but also
because he's the younger one, and it's like, okay, let's listen to him, because they know if they don't, he will be aggressive and he'll confront them a bit more.
Possibly, although
they know how bad tempered they were when they were him.
We sort of mirrored this line a bit in TWOish Doctors, where Patrick says about Hartnell, and he says, I've always had a great deal of time for him, or something like that. He respects his opinion.
Yeah.
Like, really and Troughton plays that beautifully, where he really respects both Hartnell and the character.
Yeah.
And I do think they still acknowledge there's a wisdom of age in terms of the length of time they've been alive as that individual.
Well, the thing as well, the first Doctor is one of the longer living Doctors.
Yeah. He's the oldest in terms of that his own incarnation.
Yeah, I think Matt Smith's one ends up trumping it in the end, doesn't he? Because he lives for like 500 years on Trenzalore and lives for 200 odd years in his time and stuff. But like Hartnell is the one who sort of we see in his twilight years. Like, we meet him as the grandfather, the elderly grandfather and stuff. Like, so there is that level of respect. But also, like, just the birth of the bickering in the form of Troughton and Pertwee, which I think Terence Dix wrote the Three Doctors, didn't he? I think he said he was...
No, it was Bob Baker and Dave Marston.
Was it Bob Baker and Dave Marston? Terence Dix did the novelisation, because he bloody writes every novelisation, doesn't he, Terence Dix?
Terence Dix.
With his masterful powers.
Oh, what a man.
He's brilliant. I do love Terence Dix. Terence Dix wrote the Five Doctors in the arts. That was the first multi-Doctor special they wrote. Yeah. Well,
I'll just double check that,
when
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Fair dude. When they were writing, like, when this story was being written, I think there was a conscious effort to give Patrick and John equal billing, because it was John's show, but Patrick wouldn't really be interested in doing it unless he had a meaty enough part in it but you don't want to trip up over them. But the thing is, they got on swimmingly, and they got each other's sense of humour. Like they sort of made it, I think, to the point where they would do that shtick for years after at conventions and stuff.
Yes, and
the idea of them bickering with each other.
Do you remember they did it on Children? Well, you weren't because you weren't born. But they did it on Children in Need, and everyone was, and Terry Wogan was a bit concerned that they were genuinely.
Yeah, it's the one where Colin Baker was the Doctor at the time.
Yeah,
because he's in costume, and John and Patrick are in costume. Peter's not in costume, but he's there in bright face, and there's some companions there as well, and they're sort of shouting over everybody and arguing and that. And yeah, I remember seeing that. And again, like, around the time of the Five Doctors, there's an interview with Patrick, John, and Peter, like on something, which is on the DVD as well.
Yeah.
Where Peter is sort of the calm, charming young actor, and the other two are kind of fake bickering.
And it's weird, isn't it? Because you look at them
and taking the mick out of each other. Like one of them's looking away for a moment. I think it's Patrick looks away for a moment, and John's like, "Oh, no, pay attention." Like, and they're kind of really riffing off each other.
And it's interesting to see how young Peter Davison is in comparison with those two. Whereas now it doesn't feel like he's young. Because he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, he's not the only Doctor who had the baby face.
It's not as weird as if Eccleston, Smith, Tennant and Capaldi got together. You wouldn't notice the huge age difference so much as you do with what we're going to talk about next.
Which is the Five Doctors. I adore this. This was the first bit of classic Who... Sorry, original era Who. Original run that I saw after having watched the TV movie. Because it was one of the first BBC DVDs. It was like one of the initial sort of 10 DVDs, wasn't it? It was like the Blackadder.
I think it's
the Blackadder's Christmas Carol special or whatever.
I think it's
the Five Doctors and a couple of other shows, like The Good Life or something.
I think that possibly beaten by Spearhead from Space, but I think the Five Doctors is the one that's been released the most because I think it got 3 releases. It got 3 releases on VHS.
Yeah,
and then it got 2 releases on DVD.
Spearhead may have matched it because Spearhead was 2 VHS releases, wasn't it? And now it's had 3. Yeah. It's had 2 DVD releases and a Blu-ray release, so it's sort of caught up in numbering.
But the thing about the Five Doctors for me is it began the lie that multi-Doctor Who stories were rubbish. I remember when the 50th came about and people were saying, all you have to do is look at the Five Doctors to know that multi-Doctor stories don't work. As if that was a fact. No. It's not a fact. The Five Doctors is great. It is
a cracking 2-odd-hour movie.
Yeah.
Where you're essentially following 3 plot lines. You're following the first and 5th Doctor's story.
Yeah.
Which sort of goes off on a bit of a tangent toward the end. You're following the 3rd Doctor and Sarah Jane's story, and you're following the Brigadier and the 2nd Doctor's story.
How marvellous is that? Just talking amazing. About that.
The 2nd Doctor and the Brigadier is tremendous.
You just talked about... pretty much everyone you just talked about is no longer here.
Yeah, wow.
All
thanks.
No, but what I mean is what a wonderful thing it is. That's why I think the Five Doctors should be cherished even more, because a huge number of people in it are not with us anymore. And they are being brilliant and
it's
amazing.
Very dear to me because it was how I learnt about a lot of the other Doctors. I'd heard about them, I spoke to my dad about them, I asked about them and stuff, and I'd read about them and you know, like some of the VHSs, but like that was the first one I just sat down and watched the whole damn thing. And I was like, wow. I got that Peter Davison was the Doctor.
Yep.
And I understood the others were the previous Doctors. And this is like, what, 98 I think the DVD came out, so I'm 7 years old. And I dug it, man.
Well,
I really dug it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And that spurred me into following it more. That was the thing that gave me that extra push to seek out more of it.
That's so strange, isn't it? That there aren't many other shows where 15 years after they've been transmitted, a kid would pick that up and watch it.
I just was fascinated by the concept.
Someone will blatantly puts a comment on YouTube saying, actually, I think you're fine.
I've got that wonderful thing with the stuff.
That sounds like Hacker if Hacker were run over.
I'll be hit by a truck, Ian.
But,
help me, Ian. I'll be hit by a bicycle messenger.
But, for those who don't know what Hacker is, they have no idea what we're talking about.
Don't look it up.
Never mind about that.
I'll be in so much trouble.
What were we talking about?
Five Doctors.
I remember, because I'm old enough to remember when that first went out, and I remember it was such an event. You know how we talk about event television?
Yeah.
That was an event. It was the majority of Children in Need, which is really weird now to think it was an hour and a half of Children in Need.
Terry Wogan needed 2 hours to have some of Mrs. Wogan's lemon drizzle cake.
Yes. Is that euphemism? Is that euphemism?
I hope not. Because that would mean Radio 2 used to be really filthy. Wow. And I didn't know it.
The subtext. But that's why I remember recording it and my sister taped over it and I was furious and threw your record player downstairs. But anyway.
Good on you.
And revenge. Because of course in those days, that was the end of it. I could never see that again. Anyway, and it had straps all over it saying, donate to Children in Need. Bizarre to think it was an hour and a half of Children in Need. That's so...
More than that, isn't it? About 2 hours?
No, it was 90 minutes. The original version.
Of course you
can... The redone version was longer. But, but it was amazing as a kid because even though I hadn't really watched any of those Doctors other than the Five Faces of Doctor Who, but I was far too young to remember that. But
what a great idea that was, well, in the age where repeats weren't really a thing.
Yeah.
There was a week or whatever, was there a build-up of, look, here's a first Doctor adventure, here is a second Doctor adventure, here's a third Doctor adventure, here's a fourth Doctor adventure.
I don't remember
Friday,
how long
Children in Need, here's the 5 Doctors.
No, you're wrong, Chris.
Oh!
Because the Five Faces of Doctor Who, Christopher, was 1981.
Just 5 pictures of Peter Cushing from different angles.
Rotating.
Like a papier-mâché head.
Like a sort of kaleidoscope of Cushing.
They'll be driven mad.
But, no, because it was 1981, the Five Faces of Doctor Who, because it was in between Logopolis and Castrovalva. And Logopolis was one of the ones that repeated. And I remember seeing the 3 Doctors, actually, funny enough, in black and white. And was convinced for years that was a black and white story. But anyway, the 5 Doctors 1983, and the only Doctor Who story ever to be transmitted in America first, because they had it on the 23rd and we had it on the 25th. And
because that had to coincide with Children in Need.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. And do you know what? When you're a kid, and this is sometimes people forget when they're watching Doctor Who and they go, and it's like, you know what? If you're 8 and you see Richard Hurndall as the first Doctor, you don't know that's not the first Doctor.
You're not nitpicking the performance, that's the first Doctor.
But the weird thing about it is, can you imagine now them doing... It's both a bit of an insult to Hartnell, but also true that his is the most emulatable. Yeah. No, that's not the right word.
I think it would have felt wrong to not include.
You could imagine them having recast Troughton. That would have been... But for some reason you can recast Hartnell and you can get away with it. I don't know quite why that is.
Maybe it's because it was really, obviously not counting the 3 Doctors on the Monitor appearances, but it was kind of the first in colour appearance of the first Doctor, like as opposed to, because obviously he's in the 3 Doctors, but he's on a monitor broadcasting to them, whereas this was him interacting with the characters. So it's like looking at a comic strip and then seeing that character in animated form for the first time. It's like, oh, different medium almost. Like it feels like a different.
Yeah, I suppose it's almost like a homage to a black and white. Yeah, maybe that's true.
Because I didn't find it. I didn't find it jarring when I then went back and watched First Doctor stories.
I don't find Richard Hurndall a jarring. When I watch the 5 Doctors, I don't sit there going, "Oh my god!"
He's not playing it. He's sort of playing an approximation.
He's playing a generic grandfather, Time Lordy character. That, no offense to the man, but it isn't Hartnell.
It doesn't have Hartnell's twinkle.
It's just a kind of old man.
Yeah, he doesn't have Hartnell's twinkle.
He's got the opposite. In many ways.
He's got a twinkle, but it's not that. Do you know what I mean? It's not that. In fact, he went next door for a twinkle.
I've not seen the extended editions of that degree.
Yeah, there's an Easter egg on the special edition DVD, like with Phil Collins and David Tennant doing a commentary. There's also an Easter egg where Richard Hurndall's doing a twinkle. So yeah. But either way, it's a brilliant story. It's a lot of fun. Rassilon is introduced, and
it's kind of.
And the Second Doctor kind of really. The Second Doctor and the Third Doctor both have lines that insinuate they kind of know their future a bit, and it's like, wait, what?
Well, that's of course the most controversial thing about the 5 Doctors is
the Teeth and Curls line.
Troughton. No,
and Troughton with the Brigadier.
It's Troughton knowing Jamie and Zoe had their minds wiped and all that stuff. Which positions him after War Games.
I'm wondering if that's... And again, this is fan theory nonsense.
Yeah, we don't want to go into
that. But I'm wondering whether or not it has something to do with the fact they're all there together. Like, there's a bit of contact going on without them necessarily knowing. Because they do contact to sort of catch up, don't they? And go, this is where I am, now I'm informed.
And of course, what we've learned from subsequent ones, which we'll talk about, is that it's very clearly established now that as soon as they go back to their own timeline, they will forget.
Yeah.
So it's quite acceptable for Troughton to have
learned of it.
Quite how he ended up going to the Brigadier during the War Games is confusing, but
maybe the Brigadier, like during their time wandering through the Death Zone, tells him about what happened to him or something and whatnot. And the Second Doctor, you could write that scene of that's happening and him saying, "Are you sure about this?" And the Second Doctor goes, "Oh, don't worry, old fellow. Like once this is sorted, I'm not going to remember a thing." But it's nice to have this chance to sort of glimpse forward or whatever. But I don't know. Or maybe it came up awkwardly and he had to explain it. But I enjoy it. I love it. I absolutely adore the Raston Warrior robot. And there is a gag we once wrote about him, which I'm determined we do something with it one day.
We will do it.
We're not going to disclose it, but good God, we love that robot, and one day we will show you just how much. 5 Doctors, so 3 Doctors. If you give it stars out of 5, where would you put 3 Doctors? I'd give it a healthy 5. I really enjoy it.
They're all good.
That's fine. I must be doing this because it's late at night and we can be a bit naughty.
I would say 5 stars out of 5.
Cool. And as for the 5 Doctors,
20 out of 5.
Okay. Me personally, I kind of give it like a 4.
Someone said on,
but that is because of what we know now, where Tom Baker did. And this harks back to what you're saying about how special that is. That people like a kid, 18 years on, could watch it and enjoy it. Like, knowing that Tom Baker looked back on it and was like, I wish I'd said yes.
There's a great photo doing the rounds on Tumblr and stuff where someone's put Tom Baker in his season 18 gear because, of course, that's
in the lineup in Rassilon's chamber.
It's heartbreaking because you just look at that and go, "Oh my God, how amazing would that have been?"
It would have been pretty incredible.
A totally different script, of course, but
yeah,
and him with Sarah Jane and all that. I mean, just.
Imagine her working alongside 3 and 4. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of not so amazing, let us skip forward to the 80s later.
Yes.
A couple of years later, isn't it?
Not that long later, either.
It's sort of like 80...
2 years later?
6, yeah. 85, 86. The 2 Doctors. Which all immediately feels like a downgrade just from the title alone. Like, the 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, the 2 Doctors.
Yes.
The potential season.
Where do we begin?
The potential season 6B Troughton and older Jamie meet the 6th Doctor and Perry in Spain, fighting a weird cannibal and Sontarans that are far too tall.
You know where this doesn't make sense? I've just realised as we're talking about it, this series 6B concept doesn't make sense. Because
we could do a whole.
And this is where I will encourage people to write on YouTube if anyone's got to this point in the comment in this thing. But if you want to write about this on YouTube and correct me and explain to me why this works, what I don't understand about the Series 6B concept is if you accept that the 5 Doctors he knew about Jamie and Zoe, and you also then say that what happens in the 2 Doctors is him and Jamie travelling independently. Do you know what I mean? As a continuation of that.
Yeah.
That makes no sense because they're still travelling with Victoria during the 2 Doctors. He refers to the fact why she wants to study graphology, I'll never know. They've dropped her off somewhere.
Yeah.
To study graphology, whatever the hell that is. And so it's not Zoe.
I think we would forgive. Obviously, I know the Series 6B thing gets thinking, but I think we would forgive the 2 Doctors its flaws a lot more were it an anniversary piece.
Well, there are several things wrong with the 2 Doctors.
Many things. One of which is not the lovely scene when 6 and 2 finally bump into each other, when it's Jamie and 6 going to rescue 2 when he's tied to the chair, and just that whole thing of like, oh, it's you, like that kind of thing of he realises like, oh bugger, okay,
yeah,
like I do like the slight sort of resentment between them because you get the feeling that 2 is a bit embarrassed that he's had to be saved by himself.
Yes, but
all the same, you can see 6 is a little bit delighted to see his younger self like show up.
What is, for me, wrong with the 2 Doctors?
That was a Yoda-esque sentence structure if I'd ever heard one. 2 Doctors, what is wrong for me?
For me, wrong with it. It does. That's a grammatical statement.
Yeah.
Is that...
It still sounds like George Lucas doing it on a napkin.
Is that... it has, and I've only just realised this talking about this, is the Two Doctors doesn't make you feel warm inside in the nostalgic way every other multi-Doctor story does.
Most other
only at the end when they really kind of talk to each other. It's so bogged down in this complicated story, not complicated, this kind of very dragged out, involved story, that there's no time for a lovely moment where they kind of enjoy each other's company. There's not a lot of
they
that.
don't really get a sec to do it. Although I will say one unique story element that I do enjoy is the sort of I won't spoil it for those who haven't seen it, because as much as we're mocking it, it is worth a peek just to watch Patrick
if you haven't
Troughton
seen
play
it,
the role again.
Sorry, but we're going to ruin it.
Yeah, I do like seeing the Sixth Doctor having to deal with the fact the Second Doctor is compromised, and this could completely screw up the rest of his existence. Like, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
His earlier self
because he thinks
is dragged
he's
into an
dying,
adventure. Yeah, but even just the fact that he's what's the
the androgam.
Androgam, that's it.
Yeah.
The fact that he's turned into an androgam, you're like, oh god, like the Sixth Doctor could now start suddenly get a craving for.
Well, he does, doesn't he? He starts. I remember he looks at a cat and he's like, "Oh, lovely cat." Sort of.
And he's like, "Oh god, like I'm feeling the
Perry's
change."
like,
He's like, "Oh, Doctor, oh no." That's not how she sounds. But it's how our friend Danny Jackson once impersonated her, which is quite funny. Having never watched any of her content, which was quite funny. He did a Perry impression. It was like, "Oh, Doctor." And I was like, "What is that?" But that's a story for another time. So yeah, Two Doctors. And I'd give it sort of appropriately a 2 stars.
Can I say one thing about the Two Doctors?
Do it.
It's a victim of that season where it didn't work. Yeah. And I maintain the fact that Colin is a great Doctor.
Yeah. I don't think any of them are bad.
Given rubbishy things to work with. No one knew why the Two Doctors was happening. It felt very shoehorned in.
There are no bad Doctors, there are just uneven eras.
It was just
and this
pointless.
was like the peak of that.
And it's far too long. It's effectively a 6-episode story across those 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things wrong with it. And it doesn't really have that many redeeming features. As I say, it doesn't have that charm of a moment where you go, oh god, Two Doctors have met and it's really beautiful.
Which is something that I think you guys capture much better in TWOishDOCTORS.
Well, yeah, but we got that from what I possibly might be next, but maybe not. But the one that's
I'm gonna skip ahead to the modern era and touch on Time Crash.
Yes, well, that's the one I meant.
Which is definitely one that you guys like. There was a parallel with
that was
absolutely.
one of the big influences on what we did.
And again, I adore Time Crash.
Yeah.
It is silly fun, and it is very much aware that it is a nod to the show's history.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And a mini episode second.
Yeah.
But it's beautifully written. I think it's probably one of Moffat's best pieces for Who, actually, because it does give you the warm fuzzies inside. It gives you a warmth. It warms the cockles. By Jove, by Jing.
What's interesting about it, if you compare it to the 20th anniversary one, for example, there's not really a moment where, say, Davison, if you position Davison and Tennant in Time Crash, and you position Davison and Herndl in terms of those eras, this will make sense.
Yeah.
Rob, go with me. There's not a moment where Davison says to Hartnell, "You were my doctor," or "Thank you," or there's not really a beautiful. They're obsessed with the bickering and the fun of that. But what Time Crash does is very unique as a multi-Doctor thing, because it's a homage to an era, the classic era. And Tennant's favourite Doctor. It's not really about two Doctors meeting. It's about embracing and bringing the classic era to the new Who and going, we're one and the same.
Yes, I think that was the first time they really blatantly sort of celebrated the connection. There'd been stuff in like
Sarah Jane being an obvious.
Sarah Jane, obviously, in K9's appearance and stuff, and also the stuff in Human Nature, like the book of impossible
yes.
things, Journal of Impossible Things, things like
Yeah.
that.
That was very exciting because that was the first time that we saw
Paul McGann
the old,
acknowledged
well,
as well.
any of the Doctor's faces.
Yeah, but that was the first confirmation that Paul McGann is canon. Like,
Yes.
yes, that still happened, guys. Like,
Yeah.
calm yo tits. Like, that did happen.
Yeah. And very prominently in the middle of that book as well.
Yes. So Time Crash, absolutely lovely, and I give it a 5 stars. It's not a full episode, obviously, but it makes me very happy. And occasionally, if I'm feeling a bit crappy, and I've got 10 minutes to spare, I'll pop it up online. I'll watch it.
And
cheers me up.
the other thing about Time Crash that it does is it, as I said earlier, it clarifies that Davison will then forget that Doctor's out of their own time stream. And that wonderful thing that we all, of course, wish had been done in another story we're going to talk about, which is it gives logic to why Peter Davison looks and is a bit older and a bit chubbier than he was when he was the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because he's caught up on himself, hasn't he? That's the kind of theory.
Yeah. It's like
He's
it's
aged.
Like, sort of, he's
He's
naturally
at the
going
point
to
where
age
he
a bit in
would
the
be.
presence of his older self. Yeah.
And that is a beautiful, logical bit of brilliance that justified what they then didn't do.
Yeah. Now, very quickly again, skipping forward, we're not going to talk long about this one because this has been talked about to death. And I'm sure one day, if people really enjoy this stuff, this is one of those ones that we'll probably end up covering in some form or another. Day of the Doctor. I really enjoy it. As time goes by, you realise it isn't perfect.
Nope.
But if you're sitting down for an hour and a half of just pure Doctor Who joy, you can't really go wrong with it. Like, it's very enjoyable, and it still, especially if you think back to when you first watch it, you still get a kick from the moments that, specifically three very specific moments, that on the night made you go, oh, bloody hell! Like, it's one that I think will age better to the people who saw it go out on the night.
Well,
if that makes sense.
I think something like the Day of the Doctor is like the 5 Doctors, in that that time damages it more than the moment.
Okay.
And what I mean
The
by
moment.
that, and that's not me trying to be clever. And if you look at the 5 Doctors, right?
Okay,
The
I'm looking
Five
at it now.
Doctors
I'll look at it on my shelf.
Was there?
I'm looking at it.
The 5 Doctors was designed to be a celebration of 20 years and an event. It was not designed to be watched relentlessly for the next 50 years and pulled apart and analysed and nitpicked and everything else. The Day of the Doctor, although made in a different era where people do that, the Day of the Doctor was better on that day than it will ever be. Because it gave you what you wanted on that day. You didn't want a Zygon plot that necessarily was amazing, because it wasn't that good. But
to see the Zygons that day was like, oh, this is awesome.
You wanted the moments that I'm sure you're going to mention.
Yeah, well,
you wanted the excitement of that.
The three for me, because you watched this at the cinema, didn't you? In 3D,
I did. Yeah.
I watched it. I was because we both worked at the Doctor Who Celebration, the official Doctor Who Celebration at XL in London the day after. So I had travelled down after the live morning at CBBC, like the live morning and afternoon of the stuff we were doing. Travelled down to London and got chaperoned by a Mercedes from Euston to XL, which was really bloody weird.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was lush. It was like, this never happens to me.
No.
A car was waiting for me. And
things like that rarely happen in TV, do they? People think that happens all the time. It's an incredibly rare moment
very
where
rare,
you're treated like
but
that.
I think they did it because I said, like, I obviously want to be there to do the Sunday, and I said, this is going to sound really weird. I finish in Manchester at like 2, and I want to, like, the train's going to be 2.5 hours, so I'm going to be getting to London for about 4:30 at a push. But I really don't want to miss Day of the Doctor because I'm travelling down to cover Day of the Doctor. So I was like, so what should I do? And they went, we'll sort you out some transport to meet you at Euston. And this is the Doctor Who team. And I said, that's very sweet of you. Thinking maybe that, like, you know, there might be a cab that would get me to the nearest
excuse me,
tube station that would then have the direct route in that direction and stuff, so there'd be not too many interruptions and stuff. But now, bless them, they got a car to pick me and my +1 up, She's Rose Tyler. She's my +1. Like, and Waz does the event, and it was great. It was a lot of traffic, but it was one of those we were looking at our watch going, God, we're going to miss it. But we arrived about 25 minutes before it started and watched it at the XL with like the sort of 400, 500 fans who stayed there to watch it that night at the thing. And the 3 moments that got everybody going, these are the reactions. The first one was meat. And the first one was when all the TARDISes showed up and everyone went, oh! Especially as you started to hear Hart and like say, calling Gallifrey, this is the Doctor and everything. That got everybody gasping. Hang on, no, that got everybody excited, but it was no sir, all 13! The moment Capaldi's eyes appeared, that was when everyone burst into like a wah! And I was like, wow, this doesn't happen outside of American cinemas. This is amazing. Like, and I imagine, was there a sort of a similar kind of like people vocally cheering at the screen?
Sort of, but I mean, there's
a very British thing in the cinema about not really expressing.
I was in the West
joy.
End, which sounds like it was, but it was actually quite a small theatre, so maybe like 200, 300 people, not particularly big, but it felt, it had a vibe and an energy to it, that environment, and people didn't cheer. There was just, you'd see people sit up, or they'd gasp, or there was, oh my god, there was little gasps.
I think ours people got a bit giddy. And I think people were like, it was in the domain of the celebration.
Yeah,
people felt a bit more emotional and stuff.
People were loving it.
Yeah,
and but they also had, I think there was also awareness that we don't want to be too loud because we're in the cinema.
Which is the British aspect.
Yeah, we want to be quiet and not cheer too loudly because we'll miss a line or something.
Then, so when Peter Capullo appears, everyone cheers.
Peter Pataldi.
Peter Pataldu. Peter Pitaloo.
I love Peter Pataldu.
I like Peter Cushing. So when he appeared, everyone cheered. When Tom appeared, good God, like, I missed his first line when we saw it there because everyone went... was kind of like the reaction
that happened
everyone
in the
made.
cinema too. People were like,
and it's just like, oh my god. And again, that moment, that little sequence between the 11th Doctor and the curator, still now, again, if I'm feeling low, I quickly search up the Doctor YouTube clip of it.
Do you know what's
and
very
it makes
clever?
Me feel happy inside.
Do you know what's very clever about that? And this is a sort of TV production-y thing.
Yeah.
Which is my art and my craft.
That's my life, Christopher.
That's what I do.
I don't know
what's
why
very
you're
clever
Irish,
about that, and I don't know if this is deliberate, but I bet it was. If you look at the way that's edited, they knew that people would gasp and be like, oh my god, oh my god. So what they do is, he says, I really think you might be right.
Yes, I really think you might.
Yeah. And people, that's the moment where people
that's
go,
the line,
oh my god, is it Tom Baker? Oh my god, oh my god. But there's no dialogue there. It has a breath where it allows
you... It's a good sort of 20-odd seconds of Matt Smith just sort of, his ears perking up.
Yeah.
Him looking to the side, and you can see in the shot is just the edge of like the jacket.
Yeah, and then I think he says a line, and then it cuts to Tom. But it's very clever because it knows the audience will gasp, react over the top of it, so therefore does not allow you to not hear the next bit.
That's beautiful. It is a gorgeous moment. And then the other moment was the War Doctor regenerating into the 9th Doctor. And the reaction was this. Oh!
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So close.
But I think it's fine because I think to see that first scene would have been a bit sucky because what would have had to happen is he'd regenerate and then he'd be like, oh my god, I've killed my people, and it'd be really depressing. Whereas it feels a little more jovial and celebratory if it's a War Doctor sort of signing off.
There's a nice re-edit of that, isn't there, online, where someone's done a bit more morphing. And then it cuts to the time vortex from series 1 and the line "fantastic" and that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
That's quite...
I don't know about the fantastic because the idea is that the moment he regenerates, he wakes up and suddenly goes, "Oh God, I've killed two entire races.
I've killed 300 million kids."
Do you ever count them? Yes, for the purpose of this, because it makes it seem so much worse like what I've done.
That's pretty intense.
It is intense.
But what's very clever about
that? I'm glad they had the balls to go there. To be honest,
what's clever about it is it has its cake and eats it with that because you're horrified that the Doctor's killed 300 children, and that's a horrendous thing.
Yeah.
But then at the end, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's very clever.
Yay! But at least he didn't do like bloody Anakin Skywalker and just actually murder them all with lightsabers.
Yes.
And call them younglings so it doesn't feel as evil in real life. Day of the Doctor, like you say, I think it will always be... I think we sort of summed it up really. It will always be incredible for those who were there.
I think so.
The nostalgia of it will maintain it. But again, that's not to deny it its place as a really enjoyable story.
But it was
and
one of
it's
those...
a very well-made story, and David and Matt are having the time of their bloody lives, working off of each other. And
But what's interesting about you're saying about all those moments where people gasp, one of the moments that didn't happen is when David and Matt met. Because I think one of the negative things about this era is that we have so much publicity and we see so many clips.
We'd seen sort of
and we'd
clips
already
of them,
seen them interacting, and that's a bit disappointing because you kind of already knew what that was going to be like.
Yeah,
and it's a bit of a shame, but never mind. It was great. It was brilliant, and again, I think it has the same logic as the Five Doctors.
Yeah, imagine
don't overanalyze
10 years
it.
but imagine 10 years down the line, a kid who's sort of like 2 or 3 now, who starts to get into it a bit more, and to them there will be like 13, 14 years of it they've not watched.
Yeah.
And then this is like the mum and dad are like, come and watch it, or when we watch the box, let's go on Netflix or whatever, like, or whatever, wherever we are in like 5 years' time, you can plug it into your brain, I don't know. And they, what is it, Tomorrow's World? And they get to that at the end of their rewatch, and they get to that point, it will blow them away, I think.
And I think there's a couple of other moments very quickly to mention. The original title sequence, hooray.
Yay.
Coal Hill School, hooray.
Yay.
Waiting for Ian Chesterton to appear. Oh, never mind.
I like how Ian and Barbara are written out in Death of the Doctor, the Sarah Jane Adventure story.
But you know what I mean? We kind of wanted
she
that
sort of
still.
She mentions Ace, and she refers to, I think, Tegan? I can't quite remember. But
Yes,
then she refers to them. There are 2 teachers, Ian and Barbara Chesterton. And it's like, oh,
that's lovely.
Who apparently disappeared for a year in the 60s, came back, and seemingly, the word is they haven't aged a day.
Yeah.
And that's lovely, and it doesn't. And again, I think that's Russell
also
giving a nod to that, because that was his last script that tied directly into Who, wasn't it? Like, because it was him writing Matt Smith.
Yes, I think you're right.
But it's beautiful because it's like, oh wow, I almost don't want them to take advantage of the Ian Chesterfield.
See, I disagree. I think
Chesterfield. Oh, bloody Billy! Oh, quit buggering me, Chesterfield.
Have you got your radiation gloves?
Have you got your radiation gloves? Chessington World of Adventures.
We love Billy Hartnell.
I love Billy Hartnell. Billy Hartnell. Billy Hartnell. Billy Fluffs. Billy Fluffs.
2 things actually about this. Okay.
Chris, the tiny Chris.
There's a moment that we didn't talk about there, which was that end moment with Gallifrey and all the Doctors. Okay, it's not literally all the Doctors. And of course, when we watch the 5-ish Doctors, there's that surprise, which we won't give away because maybe people haven't seen it.
Yeah,
but
it's beautiful. It still exists on the web. If you search for the 5-ish Doctors, there is a Doctor Who webpage, usually on Google, like leading directly to it. So it is watchable.
I think it's on iTunes and stuff also.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we're not BBC Worldwide.
I think it's part of the 50th anniversary package, possibly.
I don't know, but we're not BBC Worldwide, so it doesn't matter.
No.
But Day of the Doctor is this generation's 5 Doctors.
Yes. I
think we're all agreed.
I don't think they'll attempt to top it for a while, and I don't think they should attempt to top it for a while.
I think we both agreed that it's a shame. The only thing that's a shame is that they didn't do new dialogue with Baker, Davison, Colin Baker and McCoy for that.
And McGann.
For that scene where they're all like...
talking over the top.
Yeah, there's a shame. That's a bit of a missed opportunity.
But I'm sure we can pay them all lots of money on the sly and edit that in.
Excuse me.
I'm
gonna grab that.
Oh, rub it on your nos.
Oh,
but now to discuss the greatest multi-Doctor story of them all. By Jove, where the stakes are never higher.
have we done them all?
No.
We've just got this one to go.
Yes.
This is, I think, we are undoubtedly probably the best Doctor Who story ever. I would say.
The year is 1993. Or is it 1983?
Or
is it 2003? Or is it 2013? We're operating on a time loop, Sarah Jane.
In many ways.
We're looping round, by Jove.
In many ways, this adventure means our menagerie is almost complete.
Dirty. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about 2003, Jesus. 1993's 3D extravaganza for children in need, I believe.
Yes.
Dimensions in Time.
Wow.
Now, a lot of fans of the modern era probably don't know this exists. That's for good reason.
And a lot of the fans of the classic era deny it exists.
Yes. And hell, some of the people who worked on the novelisations in the 90s have tried to wish it away. I think it's one of Gary Russell's novels actually refers to it as a bad dream. Like, the Doctor refers to having a dream of being trapped in Albert Square or something. It's like a throwaway line.
I didn't know that.
It kind of explains it away very swiftly.
I would text him, but it's really early.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd appreciate being texted about dimensions in time.
It would be a bit weird. Let's give him a ring. What's his number?
I've got his number.
It's 071234567 707. So I'll give him a ring. It's ringing.
Yeah.
It's ringing.
Yeah.
Fictional number. Fictional number, guy. Fictional number. What I love about
He's got the same number as Russell T Davies.
Do you know that is so weird? I think because they both got Russell in the name. All Russells have the same number.
You're thinking of Gary Russell. I was talking about Gareth Roberts.
Oh, right. Oh, I was talking about Gary Russell.
Oh, I don't know what we're talking about.
We sound so smartly. We're like, oh yes, all these people we know.
Yeah, we do sort of know people.
Sorry, let me. It's the Russell network. Let's call Russell Tovey and ask him about the midshipman.
Let's call Russell Grant and see.
Let's call.
If you've got a favourite Russell, please let us know in the comment section below.
Let's call a Jack Russell Terrier and see what it has to say. Dimensions in Time was a children in need, and it is essentially an attempt to do a multi-Doctor story for the 30th anniversary in a way. It was never the intention for the 30th anniversary, but there's a whole thing with that which I'm sure we'll go into at another time because we could record hours on that.
It's also the only Doctor Who story apart from Underwater Menace Part 2 that has never been released in any form,
and also never will. They've sort of made a thing of saying, like, this is not coming out on the DVD range.
But you can find it on YouTube, so...
Oh, good God, you can find it on YouTube, yeah. Dimensions in Time.
And David Roden, who's a very lovely man on Twitter, and he directs Coronation Street now, and he's lovely, and he co-wrote it, and I think co-directed it, but anyway, he has put up some outtakes as well.
Oh, wonderful.
So you get the chance to see John Pertwee and Peter Davison, particularly Peter Davison, who always had that sort of look in his eye of, what am I doing?
What in that special,
am I doing?
Yeah. Basic plot is Rani wants to get
good luck
revenge.
with that statement.
Yeah, the Rani wants to get revenge on the Doctors, so she traps 1 and 2's papier-mâché heads in like a time prison or whatever, like a time corridor, and they'll be there forever and they'll never get out.
Pickled in Time,
which is the name of the novelisation Doctor Who and the Pickle in Time.
Pickled in Time.
Then the 4th Doctor, played by Tom Baker, who clearly was like, "Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, I regret not doing the 5 Doctors. I'd love to do this. Yes,
this is."
And then read it and went, "Oh." Can I be the one who tells the others to brace themselves?
And of course, it was the
good luck, my dears. I adore that.
Of course, it was the first time the 3D thing.
Yeah, oh god,
And
yeah, it was 3D.
so,
you could pick up your specs at Sainsbury's and whatnot, couldn't you?
Tom Baker is confusingly in what was described at the time as looking like a Pet Shop Boys video with those rotating coloured objects, and it's very surreal.
A TARDIS interior features in the story, but it's the Ranis.
Yes.
So obviously to distinguish that you're not in the same place, I guess they put the 4th Doctor in this weird
and because it's the Rani's TARDIS, and she's a woman, it's obviously lit sort of slightly
pinks and purples and stuff.
And Samuel West is in it. Timothy West's.
Oh, is that her sort of her servant slash helper slash imp?
I don't know what he is. He's her assistant.
Yeah, in a way. He's her demented companion. See, there's some good ideas in here already. No, it's not brilliant. And I don't think anyone.
Isn't a great outtake where she says something like, someone says to her, Kate O'Mara, bless Kate O'Mara, lovely Kate O'Mara who died very recently. He says to her, so the floor manager Gary Downey or someone says, "Can you do it less camp, dear?" And she's like, "But it's always camp. What are you talking about? How can you not say pickled in time in a camp
and
way?
not be camp?" That's a very good point. Good on her.
She's great.
But in the story, basically, the Doctor is then trapped in a specific location, so the Rani can sort of narrow down and destroy him. And at the same time, she's apparently like collecting samples of different species and aliens to have a menagerie that she will then sort of use to... It's not very clear, but it means that the Doctor is in one consciousness but keeps changing into himself at different points in time, so that means different incarnations. Specifically, because Tom obviously opted to do the green screen Pet Shop Boys video, 3, 5, 6, and 7. Although 7 barely appears in that sequence. It's his story.
He doesn't ever actually appear in Albert Square, number 7.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, you're right.
And there's a weird moment where John Pertwee is in Greenwich with Victoria.
Yeah,
it's very odd.
It's bloody weird. And
what
that horribly dubbed line, "It'll explode." It's
what
really
doesn't make sense. Well,
the companions change too.
Yeah.
So they're implying that Ace is changing into the different companions.
Yeah,
but they're the companions. Because, like, Susan appears with the 6th Doctor and is like, "You're not my grandfather. You're a maniac in a stupid coat.
You're a clown, man. You're a killer clown.
Where is..." And bless him, like, someone's analysis online of Dimension Time, I can't remember whose, they sort of reference the fact that she says, like, "Where's grandfather?" And he's like, "It's me. I am the Doctor." And she goes, "You're not the Doctor. Not my Doctor." And they say in the analysis, like, "See, even Caroline Ford didn't accept Colin Baker.
Even Susan, his own granddaughter,
didn't care."
Bless
and it's
Colin
such a funny
Baker.
thing. But, like, it is awful. It is
awful.
No. As far as that's my opinion,
okay.
That's not a categorical fact.
Now, I think this is a very important thing with this.
My opinion is awful, but I can watch it and have a laugh.
There are several things about this episode.
Yes.
First of all,
you're very quiet then.
First of all, let's put it in context. What was it like watching that in 1993? I
was 2.
It was both horrendous and great because it obviously Doctor Who hadn't been on for 4 years. There had been nothing, and then suddenly Tom Baker's back. Great. It had a Radio Times front cover.
It did, yes.
Doctor Who was back, and all that. Then there was the crushing disappointment of the dance rave remixed theme tune, and the overall horrendousness of the production. What was great, though,
everyone was game.
Lala Ward was in it again, weirdly hiding out in Phil and Grant's garage. That
separate
made no sense.
from the rest of them. As well. Like,
yes, that's true.
Not attached to what was going on. Because at one point, the companion that keeps changing shifts into Nyssa and Tegan.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait,
and
what?
weirdly, no, it's Nyssa and Perry.
Oh, right.
And very weirdly, they obviously had no costume budget because Nyssa, all the companions are obviously dressed in their own clothes from
outfits that they'd managed to, but also outfits they'd managed to keep as well. Like Sarah Jane is in the bloody
She's
overalls.
the only one that's actually dressed like she was in the show. Everyone else is dressed like they turned up and went, "Where's my costume?" And they went, "Well, we'll just use what you're wearing."
Romana's in a poncho. Not Romana, sorry. What am I talking about?
Poor old Louise Jameson running around in Louise Jameson from Gwyn and the Dragon.
Well, that's what you're saying. Like Romana when Lala Ward shows up in the garage. Yes, Louise Jameson from the fantastic drama Gwyn and the Dragon.
I produced a drama called Gwyn and the Dragon. You should look it up on YouTube because it's great.
And
Louise Jameson is in it and she's lovely.
She's brilliant. She's fantastic. It's a fantastic piece of work as well. All jokes aside, it is a brilliant piece of work. Yeah. But what isn't a brilliant piece of work is Lala Ward showing up in a garage as Romana, the Time Lady, dressed in like a blazer and t-shirt.
We redeemed Louise Jameson from having to wear a poncho in Greenwich.
But that's the thing, it's like, she says, like, yeah, you escaped the Rani. Not before she cloned me, though. And it's like, wait, sorry. What?
Yeah.
And K9 just trundles along in the background and isn't referenced. He just sort of goes, "Master," and that's it. It's like, what?
I've forgotten that.
However, it's the only time on screen the Brigadier and the 6th Doctor interact as well.
That is a... And, you know, it's got Bessie and... I mean, Mike Yates is in it. I mean, if you look at the number of people that are in it, you've got Susan Foreman... granddaughter.
Liz Shaw's in it, isn't she?
Liz Shaw's in it. Sarah Jane's in it. Lala Ward's in it. I mean, I'm not going to go on, but there's a lot of people.
I'm in it.
Andrew Beach is in it.
The Walrus is in it. Goo Goo Choo.
And
they picked some really obscure monsters to be in it as well. I'm guessing the Termination Estate didn't allow the Daleks to be used because there's no Dalek in it. But there's some very obscure monsters and a lot of very well kept monsters and puppets. But I think that was because they were from Longleat, weren't they? They were kind of pinched and...
They look awful. They look terrible. Well, especially with that shot where they're hanging out the window.
No, that's like the Muppet Show. I keep expecting it to be... It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. But, yeah.
But what's also quite fun and EastEnders I don't think really ever does this. You know, you get an old Pauline Fowler and an old Kathy Beale. What year is this, madam? 2013.
Look at all the futuristic stuff.
Yes, weirdly not that much, because we couldn't afford to redress the whole market. So it's still anyway. But you know what I mean. You get quite a lot of fun actually from those, particularly Kathy Beale and Pauline Fowler. You get those two. So if you're a fan of EastEnders, there's a lot going on actually that's really fun. Mostly with those two, particularly when they're in the 70s and they're trying to pretend they're young, even though they look the same age. Yeah. It's all a bit.
It's so very terrible.
But just to go back on what we were talking about, you know, about what it's like watching at the time. At the time, that was quite fun, and no one took it seriously. I think Jonathan Turner maybe took it seriously, but no one else.
That was the first time he just sort of flat.
And that's
out
not a criticism.
The story, wasn't it? Yeah.
But they, you know, he anyway.
I think of it as JNT's George Lucas period. Like, it's a bit of a, I've got a cracking idea, but it's not executed properly.
Bless JNT, but I think he kind of walked into the jaws of criticism again there. I can see why he was very wanting to do it and have a lovely time and to probably, to be frank, get paid for a job. I don't know if he did get paid. Anyway, the point is...
Most charities, possibly not.
The point is, regardless, I think it didn't do him... It kind of was it was a bad note for him to finish on that, because I think maybe he didn't take it seriously and just thought it was a laugh, and lots of people now are very cruel about it.
But there is a way to do it for a laugh. There is a way to do it for a laugh, like Curse of Fatal Death and stuff. There's a way to do Doctor Who for a laugh for a charity special. I think. And that wasn't really it.
But the question is, Chris Johnson...
Yes.
Have
there been any other deaths like this?
In a multi-Doctor story, yes. There's been many a murder committed in that. But the question is, life... Well, it's not a question, it's a statement.
Yeah.
Life would... Here's a fact for you, Chris Johnson.
Oh, God.
Doctor Who and...
Disc 1.
And being
Series
a fan
1.
Would be a worse place with dimensions in time not existing.
Yes. I think we can actually agree on that. Yes. Yeah. I mean...
And particularly now, because you Doctor Who has redeemed itself. At the time, it was terrible in the sense of people thought, God, we were
this
right.
Thing
Doctor
again,
Who is awful. It's astonishing it ever came back at all.
But it did.
With Fifi.
And that's...
poking his head out of the Queen Vic.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Grief.
And that's why we're here. So not to end on a down note, but Fifi. Good God.
Still.
Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we done? Is that it?
I think we should call it a night.
But we haven't even talked about... I don't know.
You're going to think of something silly. I don't know. But we haven't even spoken about Wilfred's bobble hat.
We haven't talked about Canon Smallwood once in this entire podcast.
Do you want to drop your Canon Smallwood reference in now?
Canon Smallwood, look him up.
There we go. I mean, you probably won't get anything, to be perfectly honest.
I think he's one of Doctor Who's most neglected characters. And the fact that he was shunned from an appearance in Dimensions in Time has infuriated me for nigh on 20 years.
If someone gets the reference, please put it in the comments.
Go and I will give a prize to the first person who guesses who Canon Smallwood is. The prize being, I'll just respond to your comment on YouTube saying great.
I will just write that.
Yeah.
Great.
I may not even bother doing that.
You probably won't.
No. But well done. The prize is joy.
Guy Lambert, thank you for joining me for this after party without One Direction in it.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's been an after party and an after party of an after party.
Thank you for joining me for this afterlife party. I'm going to shake your hand in audio form.
If you've got to this point, you've obviously got a lot of time free.
You're a better person than us. Thank you for keeping us alive in your tabs and your browsers.
Thank you very much.
I'll see you very soon for more 9
Can I just say one thing?
No.
If you want to follow Chris, what's your Twitter handle?
I'm official CDJ.
And I'm Soho Guy.
Soho Guy.
And I'd love to interact with you. However, if you want to criticise the podcast, what was your Twitter again?
Official CDJ.
There you go.
Oh, thanks so much. What a turnip. Sausages.
Yeah.
Right. Good day.
Goodbye, my dear.